Mike, overcast out here. There's lots of tears in the forecast. Lots of people playing Conway Twitty records, so we expect it to tear up pretty soon.
Look into my teardrops.
Man, is it a downpour of emotion. Welcome to Music Detectives. I'm Detective Tom. On this episode, Conway finally gets his first top 10 country hit, and the world realizes that he has the chomps for country western music. So let's get right to it.
Now it's time for a Music Detective's detailed inspection.
Before we look in depth at the album, let's talk KLPR TV. UFH Channel 14 in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. There would be a KPLR in the 50s, but we're going to be talking about the attempt in the 60s. Going on the air in 1966, its programming would be country and western, making it Oklahoma City's only country music station. Pioneering country video, starting at 4 p.m. and ending at midnight. Among their lineup was the Conway Twitty Show. The show would air at 7 p.m. Sadly, the show and the television network wouldn't last long. The station would last about a year and go dark at the end of 1967. The first single from Look Into My Teardrops album would be the title cut. Not only are we looking at the single, but its promo counterpart, Pretty in Pink. You can see the two couldn't look further apart, much more than the promo 33 we saw in the last video. Looking closer at the one you'll buy in the record store, we have the RPM, the matrix number, and plate number in the dead wax, and the lone 2. Telling us it was pressed in Pinckneyville, Illinois. Look Into My Teardrops was written by Harlan Howard and Don Bowman. Conway wouldn't be the first to release this song. The song would be on a Waylon Jennings album, Folk Country, released in early 1966. Waylon wouldn't release the song as a single though, possibly because Conway's version would reach the charts in August of 1966. It would get to number 29 on the Cashbox chart. The song would peak at number 36 on October 29, 1966 on Billboard. Let's take the Twitty Chart Express and find out where it bounced to on the Record World Chart. My Teardrops would reach number 25 on the Record World Chart. So if someone asked you what was the highest Look Into My Teardrops got on the music charts, what would you say? 29? 36? 25? Billboard is the only one around today, so you could just use their number. But they weren't the only game in town back then. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. The flip side is, if you were mine to lose. This tune would make another appearance on a Conway Twitty album later on, but it first appeared here. Written by Mickey Jacko. We again have the dead wax information and a diamond shape on the label right after the matrix number, surrounded by the parentheses. Just another way to know where it was pressed. Let's take a closer look at the promotional copy. More often than not, the dead wax would have different plate numbers. In this case, 2 after the matrix number. And we see the 1 all by itself. This is telling us that the pressing plant was Gloversville, New York. The catalog number would stay the same for the promotional copy. The only way to know it was a promotional copy was to see the different label. On the other side is If You Were Mine to Lose. We'll want to watch this closely, as some promotional copies will have just the hit on both sides. In some cases, one side will be the mono, and the other side will be the stereo, but that'll come later on. And again, we noticed the 4-leaf clover looking symbol after the matrix number on the label, another way to know where it was pressed. Up next are the commercial and promo copies of I Don't Want to Be With Me. I Don't Want to Be With Me. M-E. For some reason, that we'll go over in a minute, the charts had a hard time remembering the title to this song. At least when Cashbox did their review, they knew what the title of the song was, calling it a bouncy item. Looking closer at the dead wax, there you can see the information. And the label, we have another Mickey Jacko written tune. Going on to the other side, we again see the dead wax numbers, and again, another song written by Mickey Jacko. Wow, 3 of the 4 songs are all written by Mickey Jacko. Who is Mickey Jacko? To find out a little more about Mickey, no, not that Mickey, you have to know a little more about Conway's personal life. You might already have a clue if you've ever picked up What's Cooking at Twitty City. Mickey Jacko, better known as Mickey Jenkins or Mickey Twitty, was Conway's second wife. Mickey and Conway would marry in 1956. She would give birth to Kathy, Joni, and Jimmy. Michael, who we mentioned in a previous video and not pictured here, was Conway's son of his first wife, Ellen. Conway would use her name as a pen name when writing some of his songs. If you were to look up the song on the online BMI database today, you would see the song is credited to Harold Jenkins, aka Conway Twitty. Now, taking a look at the promotional copy, we see someone did some writing on this. 1967, the year, that makes sense, and T25, maybe someone's personal cataloging system? And going around to the other side, let's get the dead wax area for you to see. Alrighty. So, how well did I Don't Want to Be With Me do on the charts? Well, if you ask that question, I won't be able to answer you too well. For some reason, the song was mistaken as I Don't Want to Be With You. Now, it would start at number 57 on Cashbox on March 4th of 67, and it would stall at number 45 on April 15th. Over on Billboard, the song would start a little lower at number 69, but the song would have more energy than it did on Cashbox. It would peak at number 21 on April 8th. Record World would start off on the right track, getting the song title right, and they would fall off the wagon when the song was at its highest at number 32 on April 1st. Turning our attention to the album, let's look at the reviews. It would be a Billboard Spotlight pick and be labeled a solid package. Cashbox said it should do nicely, and the newspaper said the disc is well worth your money. Looking at the cover of the monocopy, we see the Decca logo in the corner and the DL4828 on the bottom. Looking to my teardrops, big and bold across the top, Conway's name in big yellow bold letters on a dark green background, and we got Conway pictured with a guitar. Very nice. On the back, we have some words from none other than Harlan Howard, the songwriter, the list of songs, and some ads for other albums, including Conway's first album, Sings. Now, floating off to the right of the ads, we have this floating 998-D mark. Do you know what this mark means? Let me know in the comments below. Now, so far, the most I can make of it is that it seems to be only on the albums pressed in Pinckneyville. But that doesn't make much sense, because there's no need to be identifying the pressing plant on the cover. I've asked around, Googled some things, but I haven't got much further than that. So if you know something, please share in the comments below. Examining the mono, let's show you the dead wax area first. We see the matrix number and the lone 2. We have a couple of big country hits Conway covers on this side. Almost Persuaded, recorded by Dave Houston. The song would spend 9 weeks at number 1 on Billboard. A side note about this song, those 9 weeks would stand up for over 46 years until Taylor Swift, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, got to 9 weeks in 2012. Almost Persuaded would also win a Grammy in 1966. The Wild Side of Life, sung by another famous Hank Thompson, in 1952. This song has some history behind it, to say the least. The melody carries on from earlier country hits. 1924's Prisoner Song. 1925's Thrills That I Can't Forget. 1927's Blue Eyes. 1936's Great Speckled Bird. And The Wild Side of Life would not end this melody chain of songs. Kitty Wells would answer the song and become the first solo female artist to have a number 1 hit on Billboard. And finally, we have There Stands the Glass, ending side 1. Webb Pierce would take the song to number 1 in 1953. Patty Loveless would include the song on her 2008 album, Sleepless Nights. But most recently, in 2020, Sam Hunt would sample the song in his song, Hard to Forget, on his Southside album. Flipping this vinyl over, Let's get a shot of the dead wax for you. There, nice and bright. Matrix, then our Lone 2 again. We have our title song starting off side 2, but Conway wasn't the first to release it. As I mentioned earlier, a guy called Waylon Jennings would have it on his first RCA album, Full Country. Now skipping to number 3, we have Fraulein, released in 1957 by Bobby Helms. It was Bobby's debut single on the country charts. Despite only peaking at number 36, it stayed on the charts 52 weeks. 52. That's one whole year, folks. We also have a cover of Take Me by George Jones, later becoming a duet with his wife, Tammy Wynette. We also have another Harlan Howard written tune, Another Man's Woman. Shifting focus to the stereo cover, we see the new catalog number in the top corner, and the other corner is the word stereo. Remember, Decca catalog numbers for stereo records start with a 7. On the back, we have the same layout with the exception being the catalog number and the Decca stereo wording in the top corner. You'll also notice that this copy is a reissue. Looking at the bottom, we don't see the Decca Arrow logo. Now looking at the stereo vinyl, we see the stereophonic wording at the top. Let's move this a little bit so you can see the dead wax. Also, a couple of other things to mention. Don't You Believe Her would appear on a Ray Price album, Another Bridge to Burn, in early 1966. I Made Her That Way would appear on George Jones's 1965 album, New Country Hits. The album would also have his first stereo recording of Take Me, which Conway covered on side 2 of this album. Now speaking of side 2, let's look at that now. Once again, let's catch that dead wax information in the right light. Okay, once again we have the stereophonic and the songs with their runtimes. How many times does it take to get all the contents of the Look Into My Teardrops Jukebox vinyl? Well, for me, it was 3 times. Either people never look or bother to mention the goodies inside, so you never know if you're going to get everything or nothing. But luckily, I found all the contents, so let's have a look. Oh boy, look at all these goodies. See what I mean? How could someone not know or mention that the record did or didn't come with these treasures? Up first is the picture sleeve. All the good stuff is on the front. The back is just blank. Next, we have the Seaberg jukebox strips. Now, unlike the R&B 63 jukebox record we looked back a few videos ago, this one doesn't come with plastic strips. These are paper, but still fantastic in my book. And finally, we do have an upgrade from the R&B 63 with these full cover mini album covers. These little guys are still paper, but aren't they awesome? Totally sweet. Their days of being in a jukebox are over, but they are still cool. One idea I had was, they totally look like the right size for a Barbie doll. I mean, wouldn't it be cool to take one of these, or a copy, calm down purists, and make a mini album a Barbie doll would have? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. We have now come to the magnetic tape portion of the show. We'll start off with the 8-track. I got one sealed and one opened up to take a closer look at. What we can see through the sealed one looks good. The MCA cover is a little odd, as Decca had their own. Either this was resealed, or it's a later reissue around the time MCA was dropping the Decca name in 1973. You can also see the intact catalog number for 8 tracks, 6-4828. All Decca 8 tracks have a 6 to start the catalog number, which is odd, because everyone would probably guess 8 would have made more sense. Oh well. Taking a closer look at the unsealed one, we see some differences with our album art. First, we got the Decca arrow on top, and our mono catalog number on the bottom, which is funny since 8 tracks are stereo. We also lost the songs under Conway's name, and they probably figured they'd be too small to read, and for some reason, Conway is in white and Twitty is in yellow. Not like on the vinyl where they're both yellow. Don't know why they'd bother changing that. Turning this to the title side, we see the purple-pink square Decca logo. Looking all around, the catalog number is missing because part of the label has broken off. It's the only place on here that you'll have the 8-track catalog number. Wow. Lucky we saw it on the sealed one. And finally, the back in all its glory. Remember, because of time restraints, and to avoid having songs cross tracks, which would be temporarily interrupted while they did, the songs were usually rearranged. You'll also notice that this one has MCA records in the plastic mold at the top. This one could be a child of the 70s and not a first issue. One more magnetic wonder to show you. the real version of this album. We got the yellow banner with the Decca stereo tape across the top. These colors would often shift to be more in line with the album cover's colors, but the design would stay the same. They also didn't mess with the album cover like they did when they put it on the A-track. You can see this reel ran at 3 3/4 inches per second. And note, the Decca catalog number for 4-track reels. They would start with a 72, so the full album number is 72-4828. So let's break this down. We know the stereo vinyl had a 7 in front, 7 for stereo. So we also have a 7 here too. Now Decca's 4-track cartridges catalog numbers started with a 2 because 4 tracks have 2 stereo tracks. So they put the 2 together for the stereo reel. There appears to be some logic at work here. Looking at the back, we have Harlan's write-up and the track listings. Someone wrote very good tape. Riddle. What riddle? Likely someone's name, I suppose. Let's open this up. Nice. Very nice. Okay, the first thing that jumps out to me is the catalog number. ST7-4828. Where did R2 go? Probably a typo. Don't know why they bother me so much. Anyway, we got the track listings and the pink stripe with Decca stereo tape. Nice. On the back, with this clear reel, we can see all the tape going around. And the sticker. Remove this tab before playing, which likely first held the tape down. The person probably relocated it here instead of throwing it out. And we also see the side number molded in the clear plastic. Side 1, a little harder to find, hidden behind the label. Well, that does it for another episode. Subscribe! And remember, Conway, Twitty, and the Lonely Blue Boys will be making their first appearance in Music City since Twitty switched to country styling, now featured on his Decca recordings. They'll appear at the Nashville Police Department show October 15th and 16th. And don't miss Conway Twitty Day or the Decca Convention. And while you're at it, check out the Southtown Kiwanis Exposition Thursday night. If you like what you saw, hit that like button. But more importantly, subscribe. You don't want to miss all the new episodes that will be coming your way.